Hello there, this is Sonia and I welcome you to another session of Grammar Forward. Today we are going to deal with another important part of speech called adjectives. Let's try to know what an adjective is. An adjective is a word that tells us more about a noun or a pronoun in a sentence. That means an adjective describes or modifies a noun or a pronoun. An adjective often comes before a noun. So when I talk about a painting, painting is a noun and I use the adjective beautiful to describe it. So I may say, that is a beautiful painting. So beautiful is an adjective. It comes before the noun, which is painting. In another example, I say, she lives in an old house. So house is the noun here, which is described using the adjective old. Sometimes an adjective may go after a verb. For example, when I say John is clever, I use the word clever to describe John, but that adjective clever falls after the verb is. In another example, I say the baby looks cute. I didn't say the cute baby. The adjective didn't go before the noun, which is baby, but it falls after the verb looks. As I told you before, adjectives can also modify pronouns. So we may talk about some rooms and we may say, they were empty. In this case, I use the adjective empty to modify the pronoun they, which actually refers to rooms. Or we may be referring to a pair of jeans and we may say, those are not expensive. So the adjective expensive modifies the pronoun those. How can we identify an adjective? Well, we know a word is an adjective by what it does in a sentence. Many adjectives have no obvious form, but some of them have particular endings or suffixes. Here are some examples for suffixes. We may have able or ible, and examples are washable or responsible. We may have ish or like, and you have childish and childlike. So sometimes the suffix may be ful or less, and we have common examples careful and careless. With ous we have dangerous or famous, and sometimes you add the suffix y and you have funny or dirty as examples. Now let's focus on some important types of adjectives and let's begin with descriptive adjectives. A descriptive adjective, as the name suggests, is a word which describes a noun or a pronoun. Most adjectives belong to this type. A descriptive adjective describes the qualities or attributes of a noun or a pronoun that it modifies. They are also called qualifying adjectives. When I say, the little girl smiled at me, the word little is the adjective and it describes the attribute or the quality of the girl. In another example, when I say I'm hungry, the word hungry describes the pronoun I, which is actually the subject of the sentence, and hungry is the adjective here. We use the descriptive adjectives not just to describe but also to compare people or things. This is when we use the degrees of comparison. Adjectives have 3 degrees of comparison, namely positive, comparative, and superlative. But please do bear in mind, these degrees of comparison are applicable only for descriptive adjectives. Positive degree is the base form of an adjective. It doesn't show any comparison. For example, when I say Sarah is tall, tall is the adjective and it is in the positive degree. Now moving on to the second one in the line, which is comparative degree. We use comparative degree to compare 2 persons or things. So based on a previous example, now I say Sarah is taller than her friend. Here taller is the adjective and you can see that it is used with than. Now the third degree, which is called superlatives. A superlative is used when we compare more than three people or things. So for example, I say Sarah is the tallest in her class. And here I am comparing Sarah with all other students in the class. So I use the adjective tallest with the article the. Now let's take up the second type of adjectives called proper adjectives. Proper adjectives also describe or modify a noun or a pronoun, but they are special because they are formed from proper nouns. Proper adjectives help us to summarize a concept in just one word. For example, instead of saying food made according to a Chinese recipe, we can just say Chinese food. Because proper adjectives are derived from proper nouns, they are usually capitalized. Let's consider some examples. I have visited many Asian countries. In the sentence, Asian is the proper adjective because it is derived from a proper noun, Asia. And you can notice that the word Asian starts with a capital letter. Now another example, my daughter loves French cheese. In this case, French is the proper adjective because it's formed from the proper noun France, and this word is also capitalized. Now moving on to the third category of adjectives called quantitative adjectives. A quantitative adjective provides information about the quantity of the noun or the pronoun being referred to. These words answer the question, how much? Examples can be whole, little, much, sufficient, no, and so on. So when I say we have little time to waste, the quantitative adjective is little and it describes the noun time. In the same way, when I say we have sufficient food for everyone, the word sufficient tells you how much food is available. Yet another important type of adjectives is numeral adjectives. A numeral adjective always tells us about how many or how much or in what order the noun is. There are three types of numeral adjectives, namely definite numeral adjectives, indefinite numeral adjectives, and distributive numeral adjectives. Definite numeral adjectives use cardinal numbers as in a number or ordinal numbers used as an order. For example, when I say I have two dogs, the word two is a definite numeral adjective and it is used as a cardinal number. But when I say the second one is a pug, the word second is an ordinal number and that too is a definite numeral adjective. On the other hand, an indefinite numeral adjective answers the question how many but not as a specific number. Thus, in the example, a few girls wrote the test, the word few vaguely describes the number of girls, but it doesn't mention the exact number of girls who wrote the test. The third subtype is distributive numeral adjective, and it refers to each and every person or a thing of a group taken separately or individually. Examples are each, every, either, neither, and so on. So when I say each hand has 5 fingers, the word each is a distributive numeral adjective. Let's now focus on another important type of adjectives called demonstrative adjectives. A demonstrative adjective is used to identify or express the relative position of a noun in space or time. The 4 demonstrative adjectives are this, that, these, and those. A demonstrative adjective is always followed by the noun it refers to. A word of caution here, demonstrative adjectives are not to be confused with demonstrative pronouns. You have already learned that a demonstrative pronoun always works alone. Let's take up some examples for demonstrative adjectives. In the first sentence, that lady is my neighbor, The word that is the demonstrative adjective and it refers to a singular noun which is lady, which is far from the speaker. In the next sentence, these flowers are beautiful. These is the demonstrative adjective and it refers to a plural noun which is close to the speaker. Next category of adjectives is possessive adjectives. A possessive adjective indicates possession or ownership. It suggests belongingness of something to someone or something else. Examples for possessive adjectives are my, his, her, their, and so on. We know that these words are always followed by nouns. So possessive adjectives and possessive pronouns are totally different because possessive pronouns are words like mine, hers, theirs, etc. and they stand alone. Let's take up some examples for possessive adjectives. My car is parked outside. In this sentence, my is a possessive adjective and it is followed by the noun car. In the second sentence, your cat is cute. In this sentence, your is a possessive adjective. It is followed by the noun cat. Now, moving on to a different kind of adjectives called interrogative adjectives. An interrogative adjective is a word which modifies a noun by asking a question. Interrogative adjectives are always followed by nouns. The three interrogative adjectives are which, what, and whose. They won't be considered as adjectives if a noun doesn't follow right after them. Let's take up some examples for interrogative adjectives. The first question is, which phone do you use? Here, which is the interrogative adjective and it is followed by the noun phone. The second question is, what game do you want to play? Here again, the interrogative adjective is what, which is followed by the noun game. Now, let's focus on that special category of words called articles, which are also counted as adjectives. In the English language, you know that there are three articles, a, an, and the. Of these, the is called definite article because it refers to specific nouns. A and an are called indefinite articles because they refer to nouns which are not specified. We'll have a session exclusively for articles where we shall take up this topic in detail. But now you already know that articles also modify nouns and hence they are also considered as adjectives. For example, you may say, a cat is always afraid of water. In this case, we are talking about any cat, not any specific cat, so we use the article a. But in the second sentence, you say, the cat is afraid of me, and here I am talking about a particular cat. Hence, we have to use the definite article the. Here are some points to remember when using adjectives. Point number 1. Avoid using double comparatives or double superlatives. So it's right to say he is wiser than his brother, but it is incorrect to say he is more wiser than his brother. Now, point number 2. Much is used with uncountable nouns and many with countable ones. So the question should be, how much money do you have, not how many money do you have. Now on to point number 3. The word enough should always follow an adjective. Thus we are permitted to say, he is smart enough to solve that problem, not he is enough smart to solve that problem. Now point number 4. We use how much and how many only before nouns. With adjectives we use only how. Thus, it's correct to say, I can't believe how pretty she looks, not I can't believe how much pretty she looks. Here is the last point for you. Quantifiers like all, both, half, etc. always go before the possessive adjectives. Thus, it's right to say, I invited all my friends to the party, while it's incorrect to say, I invited my all friends to the party. I hope you found this session of Grammar Forward beneficial. If so, please do subscribe to my channel. See you in the next session. Goodbye until then. Take care and stay safe.